Hello and welcome to the Modus Edge. We're so glad that you guys decided to join us today. I am Stacy Rowe here with Cole Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and our incredible guest today is Sean Timmons from Nfinity.
Yeah. Let's go.
I got tongue-tied on that one. I feel like
on today.
I do have new glasses on today. I can see everyone.
Everyone has glasses on but me.
I don't know.
Yeah, we were wondering, Kevin, how you see, because you're
I have one really good eye.
You're like 72.
I'm blind in one eye, but my one is better than y'all's. So
yeah,
I don't need
obviously
glasses.
your one eye is better than all of 6 of our eyes.
So everyone says, "How do you get your driver's license?" Well, you can get a driver's license if you have one good eye. So the trick is the blind spot in my right eye. Like when you're driving, that's your blind spot. So my blind spot, I have to turn all the way to see with this eye because I really have a
note to self: never ride in a car with Kevin.
That's Jen's side. He's got Jen's side.
No. When Jen and I are together, Jen drives. It's way safer for everyone involved.
We were going through Houston. It was Kevin, Casey, and I believe. And I swear to God, and I don't get nervous usually. I was like, I'm never riding with Kevin ever again. Like, he would be 2 feet away from a semi.
No, you've never ridden with Casey.
I was like, dude, we're not in that big a rush, man.
You've never ridden with Casey. Casey's worse. We drove on the freeway with him in LA this year, and I thought my wife was going to have a heart attack, and it was the scariest thing ever.
Well, the freeway in LA is just kind of scary to begin with. I mean, you just got to go for it. You know, if you've never driven on a scary road, Sean can attest to this probably until you've driven on the Schuylkill Expressway.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah.
They call it the Schuylkill Expressway, and that's how I grew up, is driving on that road.
What is it?
It's a highway in Philly.
Oh.
That it is literal bumper to bumper at 85 miles an hour. Like there are maybe at most you're lucky if you got 5 feet between you and the car in front of you and behind you, and you are going.
Sorry, Stace. How far, Sean, did you grow up away from where Stacy grew up?
About an hour. Yeah, roughly about an hour.
Yeah,
I think we figured out once upon a time in our storytelling that we were maybe at a camp together. We thought perhaps,
and then probably a few competitions at the same time throughout our days.
Really? What's y'all's age difference?
I'm older.
Yeah, but we're about the same. What are you, 1 year older?
I think 2. Maybe even 3, actually. I'm not going to say how old I am. You want to say how old you are?
I don't think. I'm going to be 46 the end of the month.
Oh, no, you're right. Okay, so yeah. So a year.
Yeah, I think you're 1 grade older than I am.
Yeah, okay. Why did I think it was more than that?
You're a 96er?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a 97er.
Yeah.
Sean, you'll appreciate this. I always think Stacy's so young, but she was walking around the office a couple weeks ago without her shoes off. And I was looking at her and I was like, I didn't realize you're so short. So I've come up with about 15 different short jokes for her.
It's like the new thing every day. Sean, you should see it. It's him and Chris at the office. Some days I'm like, I can't. I gotta leave. You two.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, and they gang up on me, and I'm like, I gotta go.
What's the short joke?
I feel like we jumped right in. Why don't we talk about the history of Sean? Why don't you tell us real quick about how you got your start in cheer, and then obviously we've all known each other for years and worked together for 15, 16, 17, almost 20 years now. But how'd you get into cheerleading, Sean?
Just like a lot of people, I lost a bet a really long time ago, and I was a freshman in high school playing football, ice hockey, and baseball at the time, and my algebra teacher was taking over the high school cheer program, which used to be a co-ed team and a pretty successful co-ed team in the state of New Jersey. And she wanted to bring the co-ed team back. And she started, recruiting guys and trying to get some guys to do it. And she had asked me, and I was like, absolutely not. And I was actually I was a good student overall, but I was actually a very good student in her particular class. And she made a bet with me on a specific test and said, hey, if you pass this test with an A, you don't even have to entertain me at all. She's like, but if you don't get an A on it, she goes, then I want you to at least entertain me. So she set it up. I'm still convinced to this day that she set it up, and I did not get an A on that test. And then she wanted me to go out and recruit guys to cheer. I'm like, I'm a freshman in high school. I'm not going around the school and asking guys if they want to become a cheerleader like that. I'm just not doing that. So we settled on.
How tall were you in ninth grade?
I think I hit right about 6 foot in ninth grade.
Wow. Well, that helped.
Yeah.
So,
because I remember in 8th grade, I wrestled at like 170, and that like I think the weight class was like 170, 171, something like that was where I wrestled in 8th grade. And so, yeah, I was pretty big still at that point, for 15 years old. But yeah, we ended up settling that I would help make signs with the girls, that we would hang out around the school for tryouts, announcing that it was going to be a co-ed team. Well, 21 guys came and tried out.
Wow.
And yeah, 11 of them stuck it out. And we ended up competing that year with 10 girls and 10 guys. And that's how it was for the next 3 years, my sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school. And then by senior year, we had, won a state championship back. And we had 2 pretty successful co-ed programs in the state that at the time competed at UCA, back in the late 90s, and did really well there. And we ended up knocking one of them off of a 16-year run. Wow. They were state champs for 16 years straight, and we knocked them off. So that was kind of fun. And
was it Toms River East? What was it?
That's where I went. Yeah, okay. Toms River High School East. And Jackson Memorial was the good high school at the time. And this was at the time when Christian Brothers, when Les was coaching them, and they were great. And, there were some other really solid big co-ed teams. So, yeah, we were just kind of coming up and making it happen. But it was cool. The state had like 3 major universities, at the time, that were very heavily involved in co-ed cheerleading. I don't mean like major universities from what we would think, but, you obviously had your Rutgers University. Then there was another school called William Patterson, and then another one called Montclair State, and then another smaller school called Trenton State, which then became the College of New Jersey, right? So we had 2 brothers coaching 2 of those teams, and then the other 2 guys were like best friends. So the 4 of them were this like group of best friends. And we used to have the best time. We'd meet in parks almost every weekend to stunt. They'd rent out gymnastics facilities like on an open gym on a Friday night. A bunch of us would go there and stunt. So we were all just getting better, but we were interacting a ton with these college coaches. So that's kind of how it fell in line. And I went on to cheer in college at Rutgers University and started coaching because the girl that was coaching the team was real pretty. And I was like, I'm going to help her out. And that's kind of how it worked out.
Story.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, yeah, everybody, and that's kind of how it started. I started in the Pop Warner realm from a coaching standpoint, and it's pretty neat. And we'll go into this, I guess, a little bit, Stace. But when I was doing my interview with Stacy for the book, a big part of my chapter is how I kind of got started in the Pop Warner world. And for those that are unfamiliar with Pop Warner, it's kind of the youth sports, but it was huge in the state of New Jersey. And Elaine and Joelle from World Cup had won a Pop Warner national title, I think back in 1992 or 93. And that's when they decided that they wanted to kind of make a full year run and trying to keep these kids together and do something all year long. And that's how the Shooting Stars started. So I can't say that that's how World Cup started, but that's how the Shooting Stars started. They were recruiting the best kids from each of the local Pop Warners with the most talent to build this, what we called at the time an all-star team, really having no idea what all-star really was, but that's kind of how it started. And one of the guys I cheered with in high school, his sister was an original shooting star, and they trained out of a place called World Cup Gymnastics. And that's kind of how the name,
they got their name.
All started. So from my very first year of cheerleading, we were kind of running in the same circle as the World Cup, shooting stars, because Dana and Dan's mom, Patty, was kind of coordinating that we all went to the same competitions. So we were always in the same place. We were always doing the same thing. We were even traveling together, we chartered a flight on Kiwi Airlines, my high school team and World Cup, chartered a flight on Kiwi Airlines to go down to Myrtle Beach. It was just kind of a fun thing, but had no idea how that would kind of fast forward into my future, and how that kind of happened. So
it's really crazy. It's like reading all of the stories and just hearing everybody's history. Like, I don't know, simultaneously, everybody was doing all of these different things and how it all just kind of morphed into over time becoming the all-star industry that we know today. But sorry, go ahead.
I can't wait to read it. I didn't know all that, Sean. I knew that you had a long history with World Cup, but I didn't realize it went that far back.
It started with when I was about 16 years old was when and at the time, I don't think Elaine and Joelle knew me from anything except that I was the tallest guy on the team. At the time, I had a ponytail. I grew up at the beach. I surfed when I wasn't playing sports, right? So I was just this kind of like surf rat kid and long ponytail and full of energy, I guess, right? So they knew who I was, and I clearly knew who they were, but I was a high school kid. I didn't, speak to them at all. It wasn't until my junior year of college when I was cheering at Rutgers University, and I came home one day from class, and I was telling Stacy this, we were laughing, I had an answering machine. You remember the old answering machine, the little tapes? I had an answering machine, recording from Elaine. And I had just won my third Pop Warner National Championship. And she had called me and left me a answering machine message to see if I could come down for an interview, because they were just now starting their half year program called Satellites. And she was looking for coaches to coach half year, and thought with my connection in Pop Warner that I could bring some kids on. And that's how it started. So it was November. They had moved into their first facility that was the original World Cup gym after renting space in a gymnastics facility for about 5 years. And they had moved in there in November of 99. And then I started working there and coaching in December of 99.
Wow.
So that was kind of how it all happened. And then the rest is history. 15 years later, I was still floating around at World Cup. And then you kind of know what happened after that. So, it was a lot of fun, and we just all built our basis on local rec cheerleading. And that's how the whole thing kind of started.
Yeah.
Sean, I'll tell you a funny story. So I met Elaine and Joelle, I think in either 94 or 95, we competed at ECA in Virginia, and they had a World Cup there, and we had Charlotte All-Stars there, and we had been around for a few years longer than they had. But I remember we drove a bus there, and they drove a bus from New Jersey. And we met at William and Mary. I think that's where the ECA used to be.
William and Mary.
And I remember our kids all got off the bus, and they were blonde hair, blue-eyed Carolina girls. Their kids got off the bus, all dark hair, dark eye Italian. And my kids were like, we've never seen so many Italian people in our entire life. And at one time, it was just such a class.
And they were all
different
talking like this.
Yes, and they scared us to death. And then Elaine and Joelle were sweet as ever. I mean, to me, they were. It was just crazy, but I remember meeting that, and we were literally coaching two different worlds from Charlotte to Jersey. And that was our kids. Some of our kids had never even been to Jersey, had no idea what that even was, but they were so shell shocked with this amazing, talented, really friendly group of girls who looked like they were all 27 years old and a senior all-star team.
Well, Kevin, funny story. In 1997, we were also, so I coached at a Pop Warner organization called Tom's River Angels. We were super successful at the time in the Pop Warner world. And we were also looking for a way to kind of expand our season. So we decided we were going to start an all-star program. So I think I was 18 years old. I was trying to open up an all-star gym in Toms River, New Jersey. Maureen Williams with Rocket Mania and Spirit Factory had just opened up her gym, and I was going to go on the opposite side of the town. So I had all this building stuff, and I'm looking at these leases and trying to figure out at 18 years old how I'm going to open up a cheerleading gym, because we just started an all-star team called the Toms River Twisters, right? So we were going to have this team, and we were going to do all these things, and we're like, we need to learn. Let's go to a conference. So in 1997, me and a friend of mine, Joe LaDuca, who I coached with at the time, we get in his car and we drive all the way down to North Carolina to Methodist. And here you are as the speaker and the stunt person for that conference. So,
wow, man.
Yeah.
So it was not
first met you in 97. We didn't even, have any idea at the time.
Funny.
So,
wow.
It's crazy.
It's funny.
That's where Stacy went to school.
It is where I went to school.
Yeah.
And my college roommate actually said something the other day, because she reads all of my books. It's kind of part of the process. When I write a book, I send it to her. She reads it. She critiques it for me and sends me back her thoughts. And she was a cheerleader and knows quite a few people in the book. And she said a similar thing. She's like, I really enjoyed Kevin Brubaker's chapter. She's like, I remember he was teaching a double down class or something at the Methodist, coaches conference. And she's like, and it helped. And I went back and I was able to teach my kids how to do double downs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I taught at that conference for 20 years, and it's where I met my wife, because Jen worked for Cheer Limited for Gwen. And she was living in Baltimore at the time. And she always wanted to live in the South, and I always wanted a wife. So it worked out great. So
there you go.
Still together.
It worked out.
Just celebrating 25 years thanks to cheerleading.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
That's awesome.
So
That's
Sean, the book is finished. It's going through the editing process. It's 127,000 words. My God.
Wow.
Yeah. So what was it like? Not everybody's gotten their chapter yet, but they're coming. But what was it like reading about yourself for that's probably something new that's never happened before. So what was that experience like for you?
Well, just to be a part of the book is such an honor. So let's start there. So thank you for that. Because when it's always interesting as a non-owner, right? So I've never owned a cheerleading gym. I've never owned a company. I've never owned certain things. So to kind of build yourself up to be included into this group of people in the book was a tremendous honor in the first place. So to be a part of the interview and go through that. And yeah, we've all been friends for a really long time. So the talking was easy, just like it is now. But it was pretty fascinating to try to read your life, or at least what you kind of think is your life's work in words, right? And then in such a small space. But I really loved how you broke it out. And I started with the fun facts down the bottom. So strangely enough, I started down the bottom and then read from the top down. But it's really interesting to kind of see how your life's work takes place. And then you mentioned one person's name, and you hope that you didn't forget anybody, because I was like, the last thing I want is somebody to be left out,
right.
If I'm going to mention anybody's name.
Right.
So you did an awesome job. I loved it, but it was definitely interesting to read about how you think your life went, and then now how somebody else is going to read it and perceive how your life went.
Yeah. I imagine that was a pretty interesting moment.
So Stacy, is it too early to talk about our trying to get all these people together and our
sure, because that's actually our segue into the next section. So
I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say it. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, it's our segue into the next section. So Cole, if you want to go ahead and do that, you can tell Sean all about it. Yeah,
we hold our Modus conference at the end of September. 1st of October, so September 28th through October 1st, I believe. And that's where we've decided we're going to do the book launch. And we're going to invite all the pioneers in, get everybody in the same space, all the conversations. I'm really excited about it. So hopefully everybody can attend. But we're going to do it in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got some big plans. I'm actually in Nashville right now, hence the guitars behind me. Did a site tour yesterday, looked at the venue, and I'm really excited to get it. I think it'll be the first time, maybe ever, since I feel like the very beginning of the USASF, when everybody would congregate. Remember, there was the conference there, but even then, you didn't have all these people in one room. So I think it's going to be amazing. I know that Stacy and our planning group is going to do a fantastic job making it happen. But I think that's really cool. Just some things that a lot of people don't realize, like we were talking about ECA, Mike Martinez and I were there as well. And I had no idea that Kevin, you were there, and World Cup was there. I remember that, but that was so long ago. But a lot of those conversations and the ties together and, in cheerleading and dance, it's really a small world. Everybody's connected in some way.
It's been quite an honor to write the book. It's definitely been, I feel like, a bit of a burden. Just because I want to do right by every single person and honor their lives, in the most positive light possible.
So I shouldn't say how much you complained to me, Cole and Casey, about writing this damn book all these years?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay, I won't say anything about it.
I definitely think I want to take a little break from writing when the book is finished. That's for sure. My brain needs a little break.
Yeah. I will brag. I mean, Sean, can you imagine just even writing a book in general? She's written many and she's won awards, and I read her stuff, and especially this book, I just can't fathom. I'm amazed at how special every single person in the book is. And we keep coming up with more people, which is not what she wants to hear, but it's like, the list started out at 40 or 50. And what is the number right now?
There's not 100 individual chapters, but I feel like I've done over 100 interviews now.
Yeah. It's just been, it really is amazing. So those that be excited about it coming. And I think the coolest thing is so many people in our cheer world today don't know a lot of these stories, from how our sport was built and who built it and what, when, where, and how. And it's just some amazing stuff. It really is going to be awesome. I'm excited for it to be released this fall.
Well, Kevin, it's we were doing it before a lot of these people were born.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And, as we watch this next generation come up, and they're so fantastic. I mean, how our sports evolve, the skills that these kids are doing, the stunts that these kids are doing, and the impact that these younger coaches are now having on the athletes, like we did back in our day. We were just a lot dumber when we did it because there was no science to it, right? We didn't understand
There's no videos to watch.
Right. We didn't understand. We were creating stunt technique. We were creating tumbling, not tumbling technique, but we were trying to pave the way to figure out how to make it work best for us. And now it's fun to be able to share that and watch these people who only know stunt technique.
Right.
We have coaches coaching the sport now since Levels have created. People that were forced to do a back walkover, then a back handspring, then a back tuck, then a layout, then a full and a double, right? So now they're the ones that are coming in to coach this sport. When at the time, we were like, come on, girl, we're just going to get you over in that back handspring. We need another
I was just going to say, do you remember back in the day you had kids on your team doing double fulls that couldn't do a back walkover? Like, what?
Oh, I used to laugh when I would teach camps. I'd be like, all right, guys, we're going to do the level warm-up. And they're like, what's the level warm-up? I'm like, all right, we're going to start with front walkovers and back walkovers. And these kids are like, I can't do that. Yeah. And I'm like, you throw double fulls. And they're like, can't do a back walkover. And you would crack up laughing, and they just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, the party will be Monday, September 29th. And for those that are not in attendance, it will be live streamed actually right here on @TheModusEdge podcast on YouTube. So for anybody at home that wants to watch and see the party and celebrate the book and all the pioneers, you can tune in live on our YouTube page, which is super exciting. So we're looking forward to that. I think, Kevin, it is about that time.
Oh, Lord. Here we go.
Bump.
All right, dad joke of the week. So, why are helium, curium, and barium the medical elements?
I don't even know what those are.
I had to Google it myself, but yes, they are medical elements. So,
well, you know what helium is, right?
Yes,
I only know what helium is.
Okay. All right. Answer is because if you can't helium or cure them, then you bury them.
That's a good one.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Good stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, so for those that don't know, we also do a competition company called the Cheer Expo, and we have CX brands with other X companies, Cheer Excite, Cheer Excel, and I'm missing one, Cheer X, just Cheer X. And this year we did 8 competitions all across the country. Next year we're doing 17 competitions. Literally, we're adding Vegas and Dallas and Houston, Texas, New Orleans, your home state in Trenton, New Jersey. We'll be there next year, as well as Hartford, Connecticut, and a new end of the year event in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in the middle of April 17th, 18th, 19th. So we're really excited about growing our events and doing 17 events next year. And so check us out at thecheerexpo.com for all of our dates and competition info for next year. That's TheCheerExpo.com. So especially if you're looking for an end of the year event, our Myrtle Beach competition is going to be awesome. We're excited to be in the convention center in the middle of April, April 17th, 18th, and 19th next year. And we'd love to have you come check us out. So check us out at thecheerexpo.com.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. Whoop, whoop. All right. So Sean, you are currently with Nfinity, and you guys are hosting some awesome college combines this summer. Yeah, that's the word on the street.
Word on the street.
Yeah. So talk to us about that a little bit. How did those get started?
So this is our 5th year doing the college combine. We decided 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, when now we're coming into it, that we wanted to bring something, really athlete facing to the industry that was going to really showcase the athletic talent as well as the cheer talent of each one of these kids. And, if you're into sports, you probably watch the Under Armour combines that they do for football and the things that they're rated on, the 40-yard dash, broad jump, high jump. Then they do a lot with, bench press and strength and agility type of things. We wanted to figure out how to incorporate the strength and agility aspect as well as your stunt skills, your tumble skills into the cheerleading space. Because as many of you guys are aware, on the college side, they're going more to a recruiting aspect than they are to the traditional tryout like it used to be, right? So these kids are going to clinics. These coaches are evaluating them at a clinic and then giving them kind of an invite or a for some, it's a scholarship offer, right there on the spot.
Right.
And we wanted to get in on that and figure out what was our best way to do it. So we started the college combine by adding in standing broad jump, shuttle run, 40-yard dash, vertical jump, and then we do planks and push-ups as our kind of means of strength where, we're not bringing in barbells and stuff like that to do. But we realized instantly that the kids were so competitive into these things that they've never done before. We're hyping them up, and these kids are running a 40-yard dash, and they're like, we've never even tried this before, never mind ever thought about making it part of what we're doing in the cheer space. And after the first summer of doing that, we're like, there's got to be a better way to track this. So we created an app called the College Combine app. So you guys can all check it out. It's the College Combine app. You can find it on the App Store for Apple products. We're working on it right now for Android products as well, but right now it's available for Apple, and it tracks everything. So when they run the 40, we record their time. When they do the shuttle run, we record their time. When they do the vertical jump, we record their height. Same thing, broad jump, we record their distance. And then in planks and push-ups, it's all timed so that we're able to have a controlled environment, and then we can record it from there. What that does is we've created an algorithm and a setup that throughout that, it starts to build a score for them throughout the weekend of the combine. Then they go into the tumbling aspect, and the tumbling is all pretty much check boxes. You can do a back handspring, we check the box. You can do a standing tuck, we check the box. You throw a full, standing full, whatever the case may be, we check all the boxes down inside of the app. And again, it continues to generate that score. And then we do the same thing for stunting. We have 4 different tiers of stunting. They go through tier 1, which are pretty much your basics. We want to make sure that everybody stays progressionally right throughout, avoid injury, and not overworking the college kids that are there to help us facilitate, the overall combine. And it lets the coaches see that not this girl's trying to do a toss hands while this girl's trying to do a back handspring double up. We kind of keep it in the same realm. And then you start to see where some athletes will start to excel. Right. And those kids are getting into tier 4, what we call tier 4 skills on the app. And again, we're checking them off. But by the end of the weekend, it's generated a score and then it ranks them. So just like anything else, they become a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star athlete for that particular combine. And then there's a communication piece. So any school that's interested in said athlete, well, I guess I should back up that. Similar to the Under Armour Combine, every athlete is assigned a number, and that number is based on their graduating class, and then it kind of falls and ranks up from there. So, for example, this summer coming up, our seniors will be wearing a 2-6 and then another number, 01, 99, whatever that is. So they're 2699. And that number lives with them from their freshman year through to their senior year. We've then put them in outfits that are color coordinated.
They have to be a freshman, I'm assuming, to attend the conference, or an upcoming freshman.
Correct. So incoming freshmen to be a part of the full combine. We are starting to create a track for 7th and 8th grade, but it will not be the same exact combine experience as a 9th grader, 10th grader, 11th grader, or 12th grader.
Gotcha.
But the 9th graders are in one specific color with their numbers on it that we have created for them. They're in orange, and then the sophomores are in green, juniors are in blue, seniors are in red. So every year the colors stay the same. So the coaches are used to that, but then the numbers will obviously change. But that number lives with them for 4 years. So athletes that have come now through 4 years of college combines have serious information that the coach can see that athlete is continuing to excel, get stronger, get faster, get better, which helps in the tracking aspect. And then the college coach then has their phone and says, well, I love, 2567. I'm going to send a request. And all that does is let that athlete know that coach is interested. That school is interested in them. Then that athlete has the option to accept that request or not accept that request. Now, there's a lot of one-on-one conversation and verbalization happening through the combine itself. the kids have table time where they're out talking to the coaches and either learning about the program or helping us sell themselves, whatever, and some kids are really great at it. And as we know in this year, some kids just hide behind this, and this is the greatest tool, for them. So they love that they get to control the communication aspect. I'm not interested in that school, so I'm not going to accept that request, so to speak. Right. And then sometimes it's a bummer that there's a school they're really interested in and that school didn't kind of reach out to them. So they do have the ability to kind of request on the coach's side as well, but it really comes from the coach in to the athlete. But what we're finding is more and more kids, especially with acro and tumbling and stunt growing, and at the rate that it's growing, it doesn't matter if you're the full, well-rounded. You don't have to be the double full and the best stunter and the best this. There's a place for everybody on some of those teams. So we get some athletes. I'll never forget 2 summers ago, we had these 2 sisters coming up from Florida, driving up to Tennessee for our Nashville Combine. And halfway into the trip, they're like, "Mom, we should turn around and go home. We don't want to go." And the mom's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, we're not, they were both like, we're not good enough. Like, we don't tumble." The one sister didn't tumble at all. The one was a good tumbler, but not a great tumbler. And they were kind of just concerned that they weren't good enough to be, in this masses. Well, both of those sisters went home with a full scholarship offer from the combine, which was incredible, right?
Wow, that's really cool.
One was to a school that the kid had never even heard of before. She never even heard of it, and she's still there to this day on their acro and tumble team, which is amazing. And then the other sister went in a different direction and is still cheering on a school that she got recruited by as well. So the opportunity for all athletes is there. And what we've tried to do is just level the playing field, take the gym, take the team, the high school team, whatever it is, out of the equation. They're not allowed to wear anything that represents their gym or their school. They're not allowed to wear a bow that represents that. We've kind of stripped them down to be the athlete that they are, all wearing the exact same outfit, and we encourage the athleticism. Okay,
I love that the different grades have a different color, so the freshmen. I mean, that's ingenious. That's
how many are you guys doing this? Because I know you started with maybe a few, right? But how many are you guys doing now this summer coming up?
So we're doing 4, and there is a request for more. The hard part is we've got to find areas of the country where the college stunting matches the ability of the athlete, right? So we've had a little bit of difficulties in some areas finding or getting enough colleges to attend that can stunt at a certain level to where these kids are getting to tier 4 skills, right? And being able to give them that full exposure and full experience, because nobody wants to go and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I never even got to check off half of tier 3 and none of tier 4 because the college stunting side wasn't strong enough at that combine. So we try to control that. We also know that if we added more 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, now we're asking and demanding so much of these colleges to kind of put their kids on the road all summer long, and it's great for recruiting, but we're doing 4. So we've got Nashville. We've got one up in New Jersey. We're here in Atlanta, and then we have one in Dallas. And that's kind of where we found our success rate. We just brought on Lewis from Stingrays, who the Stingrays have run a great combine for years. And Lewis has kind of been the backbone of that. We brought Lewis onto the team this year. He's kind of working with Steve Solberg, who's been running our combines for the last few years. And Lewis is heading that up and doing an awesome job. He has such a passion for this and for taking these kids to this next level. It's really amazing.
If I'm a parent listening to the podcast and I want my kiddo to go, how do I find it?
Great question. So, and they can go to Nfinity.com. Okay. They can click on the experience, and you'll see in the drop down, you'll find the College Combine. That will give you all the information about the combine. But to actually register, you have to download the app. It's the College Combine app. And you register directly through the app. That puts them right into the system right away. It assigns them their number, and then everything kind of tracks and happens from there.
Perfect.
Okay, is the video on there, Sean? Because I saw the video. It's so well done. I don't know who did it. It's probably 10 or 12 minutes, and it was amazing because it shows literally everything that y'all do. And I was so impressed. I've never been to one. I would like to go to one. I know my kids would like to, not my own personal kids, but our kids at Charlotte All-Stars. I mean, it really is phenomenal, but the video is self-explanatory on how awesome and amazing this thing is. So is the video on your website as well?
Yeah, so the video is on the Nfinity website. Under the experience, you'll find it in the College Combine dropdown. And it is, like Kevin said, we brought a company in we're going in the second year to come out and film this, just to kind of let people see, because it is a different concept. We don't just throw you on the mat and we stunt for 3 hours and okay, we throw you, we tumble. We break everything down specifically. So it'll be the seniors stunting at this point. So the coaches really know what they're watching, right? Even when we break out and do the tumbling, we'll break them into groups of skill. So this line here is going to be all kids that, are round off back handspring through to a tuck. This next line is going to be kids that are a layout. This next line is going to be kids that are full. And then we have specialty through to full. And then we break them out by by stunting position rather. So then you can see that this is all the top girls. So if as a college coach, I'm really interested in recruiting a flyer for this year, or I need a side base, you're going to be able to see those kids specifically in their stunting role in the tumbling aspect, right? So I'm watching and evaluating the tumbling, and I know that this is my group of side bases. I want to really focus on them because I want to hone in on, these 4 or 5 girls to be able to start, or guys, to start having this conversation and be able to make the recruiting process as easy for them as possible.
Awesome. Sean, that's awesome. I learned a lot more about that, just from this conversation. I feel like I was at one of the early ones that you guys did in Nashville, but it seems like it's even evolved more and gotten cooler. What I love about it's something new. It sounds like it's something different than just, kind of your normal stunt camp, I guess, for lack of a better term. So that's awesome. I'm excited to see more of it.
I love the concept of the app and the kids getting, the kids being able to track all of that. And what I think is actually really cool about it too, and something that you don't really, I think, realize as it's happening. But with my own son, he's a sophomore. He likes to play soccer. We're getting ready. We're late to the soccer recruitment party because we just are. But he's got 2 more years left, and we're trying to figure all those things out. And some of the decisions and some of the things that we're doing now. He's going to a South Carolina camp. He's going to a University of Wilmington camp this summer. We're just talking about a lot of different things, and I can already see him kind of, I don't know, like changing through that process and like, okay, I got to take this more serious. I need to get better. I need to get, I need to get more focused on what I'm doing and pay more attention. And the fact that these schools are reaching out to him, we have this like soccer app that we are using, and he got an email yesterday from the University of Wilmington, and he was so excited, like, oh my gosh, maybe people are talking to me, and so I think it's cool for the kids to experience that. And it really kind of, I think, like it separates them. They either really decide, hey, I want to do this, and they work from year 1 to year 2 to come back to the combine, I would imagine, and be better, which is an awesome thing that you're doing for kids, like beyond the actual event itself. And I bet Stacy, that's happening more than you realize.
2 of the coolest things that have kind of happened through this, right, is exactly what you just said. These kids are comparing from year 1 to year 2. They want to see that they're like, I jumped a 19 last year. And now I want to see they're challenging themselves to get better, which is always incredible to see.
Yeah.
Especially from, we're lifelong coaches. That's what we are, right? I mean, I coached cheerleading for 27 years. Right. I want to see my athletes' desire to get better. The other thing that they're doing is they're making friends and becoming college roommates. We have had a handful of kids that met at the combine and are now roommates in college, cheering on the same team, because this is where they realize, like, hey, I want to go to that school. Oh, I want to go to that school. And we have been so fortunate that we have had kids. I mean, the second year that we did Nashville, we had kids obviously from that area of the country, but we had kids from Michigan all the way down to Houston, Florida, all the way up to Maine, and as far as Hawaii and California.
Wow.
At that combine.
That's awesome.
These kids are traveling into that. And I love when I give my shout out to the Hawaiian kids. They come and they bring us macadamia chocolates and Lay's and all these great things. So we get all the goods from the Hawaiian kids. Right?
I want to come when the Hawaiian kids are coming so I can have some of that. Oh my God, it's amazing.
And this year we added a new location, not a new location. We've been in New Jersey for the last few years, but we're moving facilities to a place called the American Dream Mall. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the American Dream Mall.
Where's that?
So it's the area where the Giants and Jets Stadium is called the Meadowlands, right?
Oh, well,
so
that's why I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go Eagles.
It's not the Eagles. It's not the Eagles, huh, Stacy? But the American Dream Mall is now the second largest mall to the Mall of America. It has a ski slope inside of the mall with a chairlift and a ski slope.
Wow.
It has a water park and a theme park, a bowling alley, a movie theater on top of the mall. We're doing it in the center court of the mall is where we're running the New Jersey Combine. And when you come out of the mall, you see the New York City skyline right there. So from a family aspect, and people are going, well, which one should we go to? I'm like, well, Nashville is our longest one, so it's probably our biggest one still. But then New Jersey, the experience that they're going to have of being inside of the mall, people walking the mall are going to stop to be like, what in the world is happening as kids are flying through the air and tumbling and things that people don't see on a regular basis. But then they've got all the experiences. They can add on, a water park or a theme park ticket to part of their combine. Yeah. And then, New York City is right there if you wanted to jump over the river and see a show. So the American Dream Mall is really cool. We're excited to kind of bring that as, to the forefront as well.
That's awesome.
Kevin, were you going to say something?
I was just curious, what is the size of how many kids and how many colleges came last year, or what are you expecting for this year?
So we've been fortunate. We've been 25 plus colleges or universities at every single one.
That's awesome.
And I think last year in Nashville, we had just over 30. And we've been running about 150 to 200 athletes, which is such a controlled environment when you really start breaking out the ratio that these colleges are all bringing about 5 or 6 kids per school, plus the coaches. So we end up with about 150, probably college and from the coaches and the athletes, and then another about 150 to 200, athletes that are there for the combine. It's awesome. A real balance. But Lewis is doing a great job. He wants to drive some of those numbers up. The Stingray Combine last year here in Atlanta had a little over 400 athletes at it.
Wow.
And we want to make sure that we're able to not make it so big that we lose sight of the individuality, but large enough where the value is worth it for everybody to be there.
That's
both
awesome.
The athletes and the college programs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. It's cool.
Very cool stuff. Well, is there anything else that you want to tell us about the Combine before we move on to our next section?
No, I think that covers it. You can register. Registration is open. So make sure that you get on there and register. There are some VIP options that we're adding this year, which the VIP is cool. You get an opportunity to have your own check-in line. You have early check-in, and it allows you some extended time with the colleges. So really highly recommended for those juniors and seniors that are still trying to figure out where they want to be, because if you're a VIP on the registration, you're going to have 90 minutes of only the VIPs will be in there with the colleges and the coaches and the athletes of the colleges at those particular times. And it comes with some other cool swag, a bag, a sweatshirt, a water bottle, some other stuff. So this is the first year that we're kind of offering that as an add-on for those that are interested in just having a little bit more of that one-on-one time with the college coaches. So that's cool.
Awesome.
Well, we love networking and working together with others and helping, we talked about the athletes and watching them grow. And we're a group of people that we really enjoy all of that as well. So I want to tell everyone about our Modus Business Expo. Join us for the Modus Business Expo, September 28th through 30th in Nashville, Tennessee. We already talked about it a little bit on this podcast. 2 days of business development, leadership, and growth. Our Modus Business Expo is designed specifically for gym owners and directors only. We have classes that are geared towards owners and directors and growing your business, financials, leadership, that kind of thing. It is exciting, and it's a great time to meet other owners and talk and grow and make friends. The Modus Business Expo is free for members. So if you're not a member, all you have to do is join the movement today at www.joinmodus.com. That is www.joinmotus.com. Join Modus, and the Business Expo is free. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Bodus. Anyway, it's a really awesome conference. Sean was there last year. We have a really great time. And if you come this year on the 29th, you'll be able to participate in the book launch for the Pioneers of All-Star Cheer. The only people that will be able to attend the fabulous book launch are the attendees of the conference and the pioneers themselves. So we only have limited space. We do not open our conference up to everyone. We only accept a certain number of enrollments and then we cut it off. So registration is open and you want to go ahead and sign up for that today.
Yes.
Right?
Sean,
did you have a ball last time, Sean?
Yeah, Sean,
it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic. And really, it was nice to be at a conference where you were strictly learning about business and hearing other people's stories and their successes and their failures, et cetera, things that just allow you to open your mind up, to just a different avenue, so to speak, right? So I had a blast while I was there, and I'm not even running gyms anymore, but it was so fantastic to sit through and listen to all the great speakers that you had. And I'm thrilled to be back again this year. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's actually another really good point. All of our affiliate members, like Sean, Nfinity is an affiliate member of Modus. They are wonderful to our members and give them different discounts. We have several affiliates. They're invited to attend the conference as well and participate. And they sit and they take all the business classes too, which I think it's good. I mean, if you're a business owner, you can gain something from it. So,
yep, for sure.
awesome. All right. Well, I know, Sean, that you know me so well and you know my obsession with Simon Sinek. So every week we do a Simon Sinek quote to unpack as a group. So today's quote is, "Good friends make us better people. They cheer us on when we hit bottom and keep us humble when we reach the top." So what do you think about that?
Ooh, I love that.
I love that too. I love that because we're good friends and I feel like we have both cheered each other on and also kept each other humble.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more, and it is so true. We've all been friends for a really long time, and Stacy and I just chat a lot about life and things and experiences and what we're going through both personally and professionally, and had the amazing opportunity to work together for a very long time. So it is true, Stacy. It's a great quote for this particular podcast. So thank you for that.
Yes, I feel like I can't think of like a specific instance, but I know there have been several times that we have both called each other out on our SHIT, if you will.
Yeah.
Well,
we
Sean,
all need a little bit of that every now and again, a little humbling.
Sean, you know that Stacy is daily having to tell myself or Cole, and especially Casey. That's the biggest jerk of us all. But she's having to tell all three of us all the time to, reel it in, help, focus, pay attention. You can't do that. You can't say that. You can't read that. I can't tell you how many times, she has to do that for three.
I don't
of
want
us.
to tell the
God bless
whole
her.
story, but a couple of weeks ago, I was upset about something, and in our little text group that we have, Stacy said, "You need to settle down." And I knew within the next 30 seconds she was going to call me and get on to me about it.
I did.
God bless you, Stacy Rowe. What will we all do without you?
I got a text from her this morning. I'm reading it, and my wife says, "What happened?" I was like, Stacy
happened.
Yeah. She's like, "Okay, well, you need to call her after the podcast." I said, "I will," but I'm just reading this and I'm kind of shaking a little bit. So it's like,
you don't need to call me. You don't need to call me. You responded via text. Next year, I'm good with that. We're good. You guys made me sound like I'm this big bad meanie.
You're also our biggest cheerleader as well.
Yeah,
so for sure. And encourages us and keeps us going.
I can't imagine.
That's right.
Dealing with Cole, not a big deal. Dealing with Casey, major problems. But we all have our cross to bear. So it is what it is.
Poor Casey. I picked on him, Kevin, on a podcast, and because you weren't on, I picked on him. And then I was like, "Oh my God, I take it back. I'm so sorry. I felt so terrible." I was like, "I can't do that."
I mean, Sean,
I really enjoyed in the podcast so far, guys. I really enjoy the banter. I laugh all the time. That's what makes a team, right? And I really, between Kevin and Casey, constantly throwing it right back and forth at each other is really cracking me up.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of friends, and so I feel obligated to try to befriend him, and I have to put up with him, and it is what it is. So.
I'm gonna have to call Casey this afternoon just to check in on his mental health and see how he's doing. I know he's
fine. He's fine.
Not on today. He sent some pictures this morning. He's literally swimming with stingrays.
Right?
Which is pretty awesome. To be the stingrays, and he's out in the ocean swimming with the
stingrays.
It's pretty awesome.
Oh my goodness. Well, Sean, we have enjoyed having you on today so much as our guest. This was wonderful. For all of our listeners out there, please be sure to follow us on YouTube at the Modus Edge podcast, especially because that is where we're going to be live streaming the Pioneers book launch. Yes. Also, give us a follow on Instagram and X at Join Modus. And wherever you listen to your podcast, give us a follow. Give us a like or a shout out on social media. If you like what we're doing and you want to hear more, let us know. And hey, if you're a gym, join the movement and sign up for Modus today. Thank you all for listening. And we are excited for you to have the Modus Edge.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye. God bless you.
Bye. Thank you, Sean.